Getting back into a yoga practice after a really long break can be challenging, and that's where I currently am at. It's been about 3 months since I've stepped foot on my mat. Yes, I've done some meditation when I haven't been able to sleep of the nighttime because I've been so stressed, and yoga philosophy definitely is in my everyday always and has gotten me through the last stressful few months. It is time. It's time to get back on the mat, and it's something I really want to do, and I can hear that chatter in my mind, that like arguing voice. I don't know if you have that as well. It's kind of like, I really need to do this first before I can blah, blah, blah. I really need to, and it's just excuses. It's just this chatter. So I thought it might be helpful for you if we talk today about some things that can help you get back into a yoga practice or any sort of good habit, workout routine, healthy eating, whatever it is. Hopefully these tips will be helpful for you as well. So the first one is to set the smallest possible goal you can. Make it so easy for yourself that you can't fail. So I would love to be doing half an hour long practice every day, but it's just not practical in my life at the moment. And if I was to say, right, I'm gonna start from tomorrow doing a half an hour practice, I already know I'm gonna fail at that. I don't have half an hour every single day. I do have 5 minutes every single day. Even if it's the busiest of days, even if I'm sitting in my car waiting for school pickup, I could do 5 minutes of meditation, or I could do 5 minutes of breath work. I always have 5 minutes. And I would probably guess you always have 5 minutes too, even if your life is extremely busy as well. So set yourself the smallest possible goal. Just say, okay, from tomorrow, I'm gonna try and do 5 minutes. And don't be a perfectionist about it. If you miss a date, whatever, move on. Next day, 5 minutes. And just see where you go from there. So for me today, that's what I did. Set myself the goal of 5 minutes. And what do you know? I ended up doing 15. And that's what tends to happen. Our goal expands. Once you get going, that getting going is the hardest part. So see where you can go from the smallest possible goal. Get a little bit of momentum behind you, and you'll probably find that you keep going once you get started. The second thing that I think really helps is setting up your space. Now, I am super blessed to have this beautiful space now to film yoga classes in, but also for my personal practice. I've been waiting, if you've been here a long time, over 2 years for this space, and that itself is motivating me to get started. However, you don't need a big room to practice in. It might just be setting up a space beside your bed so that when you get out of bed, you literally fall over your yoga mat, fall over your workout clothes. Whatever positive habit you're trying to kickstart, make it so easy for yourself. There's no friction between you thinking about the thing and actually doing the thing. Makes there a much greater chance that you're actually going to be able to do the thing and get it done. So set up your space. It can feel really lovely if you do have the room to set up a little bit of an altar so that you've got that really beautiful, meaningful space that you want to get into, that feels good to get into. But like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. In our old house, I just had a little space beside our bed set up so that when I needed to, I had all the things there ready to go. My bolster, my yoga mat, my block, etc. Set up a space so that you can get started. So the third thing that I find really helpful is to focus on why. Why do you want to get started? Why do you keep telling yourself, I should do this? I should do a yoga practice. So for me, after months and months of painting, of flooring, tiling, of all the things that we've been doing here, my body is sore. Like I literally wake up, this hand in particular, must have been my painting hand, is like a claw. It's like, I don't know, it's got some sort of repetitive stress going on. And so I know that my body desperately needs to move again. I've got this point in my back that is super stiff, and I found myself doing a few classes before and I was like, you need some personal practice in your life again, not just teaching, because my own body is starting to feel a bit constrictive. And so that's my why. Try to find your why. Your why might be that you want to get back into yoga practice because it means you can leave the house, go to a class, have some time for you and really feel like, yes, I feel like me again. That might be your why. Your why might be that you just had a baby and your core is feeling really weak and you need to feel strong again. All of those whys are great. There is no right or wrong when it comes to why you need to do this particular thing, but I think it needs to be specific to you because that will actually motivate you to get started. If it's just that you think you should, that's not really enough motivation. We humans are very good at getting out of things we don't want to do. And if you keep saying, I don't have time for it, well, we were saying you only need 5 minutes. So that excuse kind of doesn't weigh up. Maybe frame it as, I'm not choosing to invest my time there at the moment. And if that feels icky for you, you'll know that the time excuse wasn't really valid after all. So the fourth thing that I found really helpful to get started is to redefine what yoga needs to be, or what your workout routine needs to be. So if you have in your head that it needs to be this really intense, really physical activity, then you might find it's a bit harder to get started. And in different seasons of your life, if that's what you've got in your head, maybe you're pregnant, you're thinking, I've got to do that, and you're kind of finding this bit of a dissonance between what you think it should look like and what your body physically wants to do right now, maybe you just need to reframe what yoga is. Maybe your yoga practice just needs to be breath work or meditation. Maybe you can let go of the physical practice at this point in time. Maybe your physical practice can just be 4 or 5 poses, moving really slowly throughout them, taking 5 to 10 minutes in each one. Maybe that's what you need to do right now. If you are really burnt out and tired like me, really letting go of that strong physical practice might be the thing you need to do, and instead do a yoga nidra. Move yourself into a position that feels good, lots of props, really supportive, and do a meditation that takes you into that place of just bliss. Maybe you just need to do a really slow, gentle class. So maybe a reframe on what it is you're actually trying to do, and stop putting these unrealistic expectations based on the season of your life. And I've been so good at this. I know during my first pregnancy, I really had this idea of what my yoga practice should look like based on what it looked like before I fell pregnant. And then I fell pregnant, I was like, I can't do this anymore. My body's too uncomfortable. When actually what I needed to do was just change the way I was practicing. And over the course of 10 years, I definitely learned to do that. And that's what I teach now in my pregnancy yoga classes. And then finally, just a reminder, because I feel like we get sold this idea all the time. And hey, I do a little bit of it myself because this is a business for me as well. But I just want to remind you, you don't actually need anything to get started. You don't need a new yoga mat. You don't need a bolster. You don't need yoga clothes. You don't need anything. You don't need a space. You don't need to buy my membership or my classes. None of that. You need nothing to get started with a yoga practice. You simply need your breath and your body and some time and space, and all of those things are free. So if you've been kind of putting that barrier in there of like, I need to buy a new yoga mat, or I need to buy new yoga tights, or I need to, see if you can just let them drop away and maybe just sit for 5 minutes and maybe just move through a sun salutation. Just one, that's all you need to do. That is a yoga practice. It doesn't need to be an hour long. It doesn't need to look fancy. It just needs to be. And I think that's the message of yoga after all, right? Is that we just be. With that being said, I'm going to turn this camera off and I'm going to go and do my own personal yoga practice today because that's what feels really good to me. Thanks for being here. Namaste.